How's it going, you guys? It's Scott with Everyday Home Repairs. Now, when it comes to storage sheds, they're pretty much a rite of passage for any homeowner. Sooner or later, you're going to be assembling or building one to have some additional capacity to store some of the lawn equipment or other things and get them out of your garage. Now, when it comes to affordable options that you're really assembling opposed to building, metal and plastic are going to be your two most common options. And then we did roll that up into a free buyer's guide. It'll bring these together side by side, metal versus plastic versus DIY wood, which I really like, or a pre-built wood option, in addition to having some direction on how to build a wood floor for a metal or plastic shed. So let's start with the plastic shed or resin shed. This is a Craftsman, even though it's actually a Suncast, just branded Craftsman. I got it from Lowe's, and usually the cost is around $900 to $1,000 for this type of shed. Now, having a table like this for some of the sub-assemblies is super handy, so you're not having to do this on the ground. Highly recommend, because you have the doors, but you also have things like some of the metal support structures on your roof, like the main support truss that I'm putting together here. Now, the plastic shed will come with two floor sections that come together. The metal shed does not have a floor like that. And the way it's held together is just simply with these plastic nuts. That's what pulls the panels together, and it makes for easy assembly with about 4 of those per panel that you see me installing here. So it slides and clicks into that floor base, and then you use 4 of those screws to tie everything together. So it goes together really quickly, and before you know it, you have your wall segment up, and then you can start working on your roof segment. Now, you'll need a little bit of a ladder to get up on it, but once you have your structure in place, it's really only 4 sections that will make up your whole roof surface, and you'll be screwing from the inside to secure the plastic roof to the metal support structures. And here's what it looks once you're done. You can see those little angle irons that give it a little bit more structure as well. And really finishing up, you're going with the doors. There's 3 hinges on each of those, and then just 1 bolt to hold in for each of the hinges. Once you get those aligned, you'll have a little bit of hardware to do with the latch, and then also your 2 handles just on the door. But once you get past that hardware, you have reached the finish line. Now, for me, it took only about 3.5 hours to put this together. And really, I'm pretty satisfied with the finished product. It looks good, there's no issues, no defects, and it really came together nicely. Now moving on, you have a little bit more hardware when it comes to the metal shed. Those are all the screws and bolts that you'll have to do, and there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. The box is smaller. The plastic shed box with 350 pounds is about 150 pounds, so you will need some help. And like I said, you don't have a floor, you just have really a floor frame, and these wall panels are super flimsy. So you got to start pulling those together, and be careful. Those will bend over and damage the panels if you're not careful. But you'll start to pull together some of the support structure on the top of those walls. But even at this point, it's still super flimsy. So don't leave it there. If you have some wind, you might come back in the morning and this thing will be folded over like a tin can. Now you'll start putting on the rest of your walls. And this is the part of the project where you'll lose some access. So there's going to be a support C channel you got to put on your walls on the inside and hold it there, and then screw in about 15 screws from the outside. So it's pretty much a 2-person operation. And if you don't have that, it's kind of a juggling act. Moving on to the roof section, we'll start to bring together some of our support structures that will cross from the front to the back wall and start to pull things together, giving it a little bit more structure, although there's still some flimsy parts to the overall build. 4 roof sections come together again, and you start to lose access. Kind of really have to reach to get those screws secured for each of those roof panels. Last up are our doors, and you'll take your time because I've seen a lot in the past where these sliding doors will bind up, but I didn't have that issue. Mine worked fairly well. Overall assembly time for this was 7.5 hours, so that is over double as compared to the plastic, and it is a whole nother level of assembly project and way worse than most IKEA furniture. So like we said, twice as long to build. This is a very frustrating build. And if you look a lot of the reviews, you'll see about 20% to 25% of all reviews are 1 star on this type of shed. Now, something to call out as well is even though the square foot area footprint is the same between these two, don't be confused because the headroom isn't even close. When I step up on the same surface as the shed here, it's to about my chin, and when I get in, I can't even stand up, and I'm about 6'1". That's for the metal option. For the plastic, headroom's a lot better. I can actually walk in and not hit my head, and then you got a lot more headroom on the inside. So functionally, it's a lot more usable, and especially storing some of your lawn tools, having that extra headroom, at least for me, is gonna pay off. And then one of the biggest mistakes that homeowners will make on either the metal or plastic is just trying to set that on the ground. I do not recommend that. It's probably going to be uneven. It's going to be unlevel. You're going to have a bunch of moisture on the bottom. You can't really secure it to anything. So my number one choice is always a concrete slab, but I do understand that's quite a bit of work. So probably a more common option is a simple 2x4 pressure treated wood floor structure with pressure treated plywood on top. Then you space that on concrete blocks, and that's the exact design that we outline in our buyer's guide to kind of give you some direction and make sure you get the right materials so you're not making multiple trips to your home improvement store. And then additionally, you should secure it down, whether you're putting concrete anchors within a concrete pad or you're screwing it down to your floor structure and then anchoring your floor structure in the ground. Either way, it's smart to anchor down these sheds. This one weighs about 350 pounds. That metal shed, if you just set that on the ground, it's only about 150 pounds, and we will be doing some wind testing coming up. Something tells me that thing is gonna fly right off the pad if you don't secure it. So let me know which one you guys would go with. Would you go with metal, plastic, or would you do a DIY wood build? DIY wood build is by far my favorite choice. Completely customizable. It does cost a little bit more, but it's going to be by far the longest lasting and the sturdiest option. My number 2 would be the plastic shed, and then my number 3, and a distant 3, would be the metal option. I'm not a huge fan of that. Now, if you're going to go with plastic, I highly recommend getting 3 2x4s, 8 foot long, and doing this modification with a few other parts. If you want to see more details on this, over on Everyday Shed, I actually show you how I built this. It firmed up this plastic shed, and it gives you a few shelves in the corner and attachment points, which I think really makes it a lot more functional. So you can check out this video right here, and it'll walk you through the complete process. And if you want to see a DIY wood build in this size class, check out this video right here, and it's an 8x8 wood build. We have build plans, 3D models, and everything else to help you through that project if you want to take that on in the near future. So thanks for joining me on this video, and we'll catch you on one of those next ones. Take care.